us, Girlies. I'm Bran.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Bailey.
I'm Casey.
And we have a special episode for you guys today where we are going to talk all things dating. It is basically the number one questions we always get in our DMs from you guys, whether it's about first dates, situationships, red flags, deal breakers. So we are very excited to unpack everything. I guess to kick it off, I want to talk about first dates and maybe good first dates, first date horror stories, anything that you guys, that comes to mind. Something that I always say is never give your first date to a weekend. And
So true.
I stand by this. On the weekends, if it's a first date, I always recommend keeping those first dates to the weekdays. Keep the weekends for the girls, for the gays, for the theys. Like, have fun on your weekends for the first date.
Yeah. I feel like for first dates too, I always suggest just getting a drink, because if you do dinner, you're kind of like locked into that time period of like eating, going to the dinner, doing the whole thing. If you do drinks and it goes well, you can get another drink or you can go to another bar. And if it goes poorly, you can just get one drink and go home. Like, I feel like a weeknight and simply just getting a drink is like the recipe for the best first date.
Interesting.
Also, dinner's like kind of aggressive sometimes.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a girl. Like, I don't want to eat in front of a man.
Right?
I did a brunch first date before, and I really liked it because it was more like, I think it was bottomless mimosas. It was in Manayunk. But it was bottomless mimosas, and I feel like that was a good way to kind of get the juices flowing. And like, we weren't like, obviously it was a first date, kind of blind date. But I kind of liked that situation. But it was also, I don't know. It was also the weekend, so we just said like weekend dates. So it was a little odd, but I like the brunch idea.
Yeah. I went on a walking date once with this guy. Like, we literally
that's
just like
fun.
walked in the park for like, it ended up going really well. So we like walked miles, and then we ended up actually like getting hungry and going to dinner after. But like, the date was literally like, meet me here and like, let's take a walk from here to here. And it was like very low key and just like nice to like get to know each other. That was like one of my like favorite first dates I think I've ever had.
That sounds like a perfect first date to like, that you like.
Yeah.
Like something that interests you and something that interests the other person. That's also very easy. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. I want to steal that.
I've never gone on a coffee first date, but I totally would now in like my new adult revolutionized life. I like 100% would like totally like, then I would do like either a weekday or like a Sunday, like get coffee like 11, like maybe do a light activity after, but then there's no pressure of it. The thing that like I am bad at with the whole drink thing is I will get multiple drinks and I will get drunk, and then I will do something stupid.
But I feel like that's only if you like kind of are feeling the person. Like, I feel like if you were whole ass sitting on a date with another man and he was just giving you all the wrong vibes, you would not be like, I'm gonna get fucked up. You'd be like, I need to leave here immediately. Yeah. I mean, I can't say from experience because I've done that quite a lot of times, going on a date and being like, all right, well, this is going to go nowhere, so I might as well get drunk. But I feel like now I'm in a little different.
Yeah, I would like to say yes.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's an interesting thing to like talk about. Like, what are like your signs for like, I will go on a date with this person? Like, how do they make it out of like, I don't know, if you meet them on a dating app or if you're texting, like, I try like to get all the red flags there and then like not wait for the first date. Like, how long do you think you need to like talk to somebody before you're ready to meet them in person?
I feel like that's like, I don't know. I feel like it's a case by case thing. I don't know. I know there are definitely girls who are like, I need to know this person for a month before, like, they have like their rules. I feel like for me, it's just a vibe. Like, if I like feel it right away, then I'll go out on a date. And if I don't, but I'm like interested, maybe I'll go on like a low key date or try to run into them somewhere. But I feel like it's case by case. I don't know. That's just me.
Case by case. I remember one time a guy I met at a pregame. We just met at that one interaction, then we went on a date. So I feel like that was a good. We also like text in between there. But I think from dating apps, I'd say those are also so tricky, and I hate talking to people on dating apps. But if the conversation is flowing on the dating app, or if they're like, let's just start texting, and like the conversation is actually legit, I'm like, all right, maybe I can meet them in person. Maybe this can go somewhere.
Yeah.
Then obviously that turns south.
Yeah, my worst first date was from a dating app. It was literally, I feel like I should just tell the story because it is truly the worst first date you could ever imagine. So I met this guy off of a dating app, and we like kind of met on a dating app, kind of through Instagram, one of those weird things where we like matched and then like followed each other and whatever. So we very casually set up a date. And I feel like I've been on dates before where the guy is like, oh, like we'll just go grab a drink. And to me, that means like you'll figure it out. Whether you tell me where we're going or not, like I don't feel pressure to think about where the date's going, because if you're saying we're going to get a drink, I'm trusting you to find the place. So let's start off right at the very beginning. So this man sends me the address to go meet him. And guess where I meet this man? If you've been listening to the podcast, you know we have a thing for the Sterling here in Philadelphia, the apartment complex in Center City. So this man sends me his address, and it's to the Sterling. And I was like, okay, like I guess he lives here, whatever. I pull up, I text him that I'm here, and he's like, okay, I'll be right down. And the second he comes down the steps, he doesn't even get off, like, he like opens the door of the lobby and he doesn't even fully walk out. He just goes, do you want to come upstairs? My friends are having a party.
Huh?
And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, my friends are upstairs pre-gaming. You want to go upstairs? And I was so thrown off because this was the first time I was ever meeting this man. We fully met through Hinge. Like, I don't know him.
Yeah.
We didn't even have any mutuals. So I was like, no, I'm okay if you want to just go grab a drink. And he looked visibly disappointed. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just go get a drink. So he walks downstairs and he's like, sorry, my friends were just having a party. Like, this is my friend's apartment. I just thought you would want to come up. I was like, no, we can just go get a drink. And he's like, okay, where do you want to go?
Oh my God.
I was like, well,
oh my God.
I thought you would have this covered. Like, this is the part where you, earlier in the week, you're like, let's go grab a drink. So I should have just left then, but I didn't. And spoiler alert, I dated this man for another 2 months. So that really shows my mental illness. But he's like, let's just go here. And for anyone who's not from Philadelphia, this won't be offensive. So if you're not a Philadelphia listener, just imagine the bar in your hometown that you go to every single Friday and Saturday. That is a bar. It's not a drink spot. It is a bar that you go to on the weekends. For my Philadelphia listeners, this man says, why don't we go to Ladder? Which, this was a few years ago. So I guess if you don't really know the effect of Ladder, that's the equivalent of a guy saying, let's go to Barstool.
Yep.
It's not a drink spot. You don't go to Barstool for a first date. That's not a sexy spot. That is a full bar where you go to drink. And this man said, let's go to Ladder. And I said, absolutely, because I just was like, whatever at this point. So we walk to Ladder. We go sit upstairs.
What
the
time
vibes,
is it?
I think it was a Thursday, and maybe it was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8. There was weirdly like a college football game on or some kind of sports game, because we went upstairs to Ladder and like there was a bunch of fans watching this sporting event. So him and I sat on the side of the bar and we had like, I don't know, like decent conversation. It was like a whatever first date. Halfway through the date, he answers his phone. The red flags are piling up. He answers his phone and he goes, oh my God, all of my friends are downstairs. We should go join them and start drinking. And I was like, oh, like at that point I was kind of into him, or at least I was kind of into the conversation. I was like curious to keep going. And he was like, let's go downstairs and meet my friends. This man apparently just wanted me to meet his friends because like that's the second time bringing it up. So we go downstairs to Ladder. All of his friends are there. And it wasn't even like he was like wanting to meet his friends because he wanted to leave the date with me. Like he wanted to introduce me to every single one of his friends. He wanted me to drink with them. He was trying to get me to take shots. As we walk downstairs, I see my ex-best friend that I haven't seen in 4 years at that point across the bar. And there are not that many people at the bar. So I am on the worst first date of my life. I see my ex-best friend and I was like, wow, I have no choice but to get blacked out. Like there's nothing else I can do. So me and this man proceed to get blackout drunk. I don't even remember like the end of the date. I just remember like we kind of drank a little bit, and then at that point I was just like, I need to drink by myself. So I was fully just chugging them at the bar alone. And then I left and we somehow dated for another 2 months. But it was truly the worst first date because he did every red flag. He like wanted me to weirdly go meet his friends 2 seconds into the date. He answered a phone. He didn't have the date actually planned out. Like he did everything wrong.
I feel like, my fault.
Sorry.
I feel like his initial plan, no offense, was low key. He was going to go out with his boys and have that pregame, and then he said, "Oh, let me just invite this girl," and thinking you were going to go up to that pregame, and then eventually go to Ladder with him for that party. Like
he was like, you know what? I want to go out with this girl on a date, but I also, like you said, want to go out. So let me just trick her and try to get the best.
Fine, yeah.
I feel like guys nowadays should just be upfront. Like, for example, if you want to, you're a pretty girl. He probably thought this was probably I don't know who this man is, but this was probably the greatest like moment of his life. Like Casey Carradin's going to go on a date with me. Number one, he was probably hyped to be like, this girl's coming out with me and all my friends. Number two, he didn't plan anything, so I don't really know what he wanted to. I don't know if he wanted to hook up with you. I don't know if, again, what you said, he just wanted to party with his friends. But whatever that was, he should have told you. And something that you should do before a first date is get to know the person you're going on a date with, because someone's beauty is literally, that's not a reason to go on a date with someone. Like, it's a big part of why you would go on a date with someone, but there are tons of guys I would love to look at, but I don't want to sit at a table with them and talk about their family. Like, ew. And I just feel like if you're gonna ask somebody out, like, know who you're sitting with. It's like, okay, piggybacking off of your story, I hate things that are super extra from other people. Like, I'm an extra person and I appreciate extra activity, but like, I'm honestly really low key. Like, one of my favorite spots during the week is Garage. My favorite shot is a pickleback. I hate being complimented. I am an idiot. I have the humor of a 13-year-old boy. Like, what you see in me is not what you get. So people are shocked when they meet me. And this guy that I went on a date with, a first date, took me to a really upscale restaurant. And it's like, that's nice. I'd love to eat, but number one, like I just said, I didn't want to eat a full feast in front of you. Like, I get eating anxiety sometimes in front of people I don't know. Even women, like, if you're chewing loud, like, I just get self-conscious sometimes. And number two, when the bill came out, he made a point to, like, kind of announce what the total of the bill was. And I was just like, oh my God, ew. And I felt so bad about the bill that y'all are going to clown me. I put my card down.
Girl.
I was like, let's just split it. I was like, let's just split the bill.
Did he
Like,
say it in a way where he was almost asking you to, like, did you feel pressured?
yeah, I mean, it was almost like a big flex, but this might decline. Like, oh, this was so expensive, but it was full Hannah Montana. Like, I didn't know which character he was. Miley wanted to pay, and Hannah was like, please give me money. So I was like, okay, like, ¿por qué no los dos? Like, I'll just put down, but like, we can do both.
Yeah.
And it was just not a Lindsay date. And like, get to know the person and then plan something accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Bringing you to ladder second floor with all his friends.
I was gonna say that's on my red flags list, is like making a big deal about the bill. Like, it doesn't need to necessarily be like, oh, like the man should always pay. I'm not saying that. It's just like making a production out of it. Like, oh, well, it was this much. Like, even if you like don't want to pay the whole bill, just be like, do you want to split it? Like, that's as far as it can go. And if that throws you off, that throws you off. But like announcing the total
That's
and
so
like being
weird.
so drama about it and like inspecting the receipt, like that's on a first date, that would like be a major red flag for me. 100%.
Yeah.
And then on another first date, oh my God, I'm now that I'm sitting here thinking about this, like I have them. Oh, I get the worst guys. On another first date, this is someone I really wanted to go out with. Like, I really liked this guy. And I know him, like, really, really, really well. Like, we honestly grew up together. And we went to a really, like, chill date spot. It was perfectly my vibe. Like, I got a beer. Like, it was great. Okay. The bill comes out. This man looks around like, whoa, like a Disney Channel, like, oh, my God. Like, a full dramatic gasp and goes, I forgot my wallet.
No fucking way.
The Lord Jesus Christ as my witness. He looked at me dead ass and said, I forgot my wallet. And I was...
Did he offer to be like, will you pay and I'll immediately Venmo you?
No. He was just like, damn. And I was like, oh, well, like, I guess I can, like, pay for it, like, this time. Haha.
Oh.
There wasn't a next time. Oh, actually, I lied. There was. And I went to Chili's. That is too low-key for me. If you want to take me out, do not take me to Chili's for a first date.
Take me to Chili's.
I did go on a first date to Applebee's, but it was
Period.
circumstantial.
Really?
Yeah, we went to
What's the circumstances?
Okay, so he could have done better, but it was like, it wasn't that bad. We were going to Longwood Gardens on a date,
Oh,
and
cute.
we wanted to get like a drink beforehand, and there was just not many bars near Longwood Gardens. And he was funny about it. He was like, I can't believe I'm about to say this to you, but can I take you to Applebee's before we go? And he like made it
That's
a
really
funny
cute.
like situation.
I like him.
But the making a production, yeah, that's a horrible red flag if a guy does that.
I will never forget the first date I was ever on. I was a late bloomer. I was 19 years old. And I went on a date with this guy from Grindr who I think was the same age as me. And like, I think it was his first date too. We were both like, had no idea what was going on. And we were supposed to see a movie, and we were going to the Regal Warrington, and there's a Chick-fil-A there. So he's like, we'll get Chick-fil-A and then we'll go see a movie. The car ride to the Chick-fil-A was just so awkward. Like, neither of us were like talking. Like, it was so silent. And then he hit into a parked car in the parking lot. Yep. And like, it was just so uncomfortable the entire time that we were in Chick-fil-A. I was like, I don't really want to see the movie. I was like, let's just like, I'm going to go home.
Really?
Did he seem really upset that he hit the car? Was it like a big thing?
It wasn't like the biggest deal. Like, he like gently tapped it. And the guy was like in his car and was just like, what the fuck? But there was like, there was no insurance. There was no drama. But I like blacked that out of my memory so bad because that was legit like the first date I've ever gone on. And it was mortifying.
That just reminded me of when I was on the first date. I drove to the date and it was like a parking like lot thing. I just like was running a little late, so I didn't feel like paying for the parking at that given moment. Y'all know who I am about the parking shit. I don't like paying parking tickets. And so I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. But like, it's a like tow zone. And after the date, the guy was like, oh, I'll walk you to your car. But I was like, I am low-key afraid that car is not going to be there when I get there. So I'm like, it's okay. Like, I know where it's at. Like, you don't have to walk me there. She was there, thank God. Like, it was fine. But like, I no ticket, no boot or anything. But I was like, you cannot walk me to my car. Like, it's not there.
I feel like
Go ahead.
I feel like green flags for like a first date though, like you said, are just like casual activity, like low lift, on like a good day or night of the week. Like, I don't know, Thursdays are risky. Like Eli Rallo always says the best first date night is a Thursday night because you give them your Thursday, and then if you like them, you can hit them up on Saturday. I think in theory that is genius. But my problem is on a Thursday, I would get drunk like the man that took you out and I would end up sleeping with you. That's just how I roll. I know myself. I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
So what's the ideal day for you?
I think like a Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe a Wednesday, like a Wednesday.
I like Wednesday.
Yeah, like Wednesday happy hour maybe, like just casual, and then like go do like an activity like mini golf or something. So like that would be like cute, and then like, okay, it's a Wednesday, go home. Like, that's it. I had a really great date on a Tuesday once. That was the one that I was up all night because I had 3 espresso martinis. That was a mess. I've had some really bad first dates. Yeah.
I feel like a green flag when you're like a guy picking a place too is if there was just like a little bit of thought put into the place that they chose. If you in your first initial conversations are like, I really love espresso martinis, and then when he plans the date he's like, oh, I picked this place because I heard they have really good espresso martinis, to me that like rings green flag. That's like, oh, you put you took something I said and put a little bit of thought into the date. Like, I feel like anytime a guy puts thought into it, even if it's like the most smallest little detail, to me that makes the difference than just being like, oh, I heard this place is cool. Like,
I love when you get there and they're already there. Like, they've like maybe even already ordered you like a first round.
That's a good one.
Like, I hate getting to a first date and you're the first one there. That is so bad for me. Like, that's like low-key a red flag for me. I'm like, your ass better be there when I get there, either at the same time or before me.
I'd say my biggest thing is if they're how they treat like service workers. Like, if it's I mean, obviously a date, like if you're anywhere in public and the way they treat service workers, if they're saying thank you ma'am, yes ma'am, or like, that is just like, you have to be so polite. I had another one too, totally forgot. But yeah.
I feel like on a first date, I went on a first date that was like this and it became like an instant red flag, is someone who's like too confrontational, like right away. And I don't necessarily mean like a fight, but if they disagree with like everything you're saying, and it's okay if you disagree and you have good conversation, but if it feels like everything you're saying, they like have a rebuttal,
I would run.
It's just like, dude, we're just getting to know each other. Like, you don't have to be that passionate about each topic. Like, if they're like all in, that to me is like such a red flag.
Yeah.
I think a green flag is like kindness without being like without overcompensation. So you're kind, like I like a gentleman, like a nice guy to open the door for me and like, oh, you look nice type of vibe, you know. But then there are guys who, I was just telling Bailey this the other day, like someone who love bombs you in a way that is just excessive, that is so irritating. We're not stupid. You can pick that out of a crowd. Like, it's relax. You can be kind and cute and nice without doing the utmost. Even like gifts on a first date, like, I guess, like I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I've never received it, thank God.
I got flowers on a first date once.
Yeah, like that would,
I think that's beautiful.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I'm just really
No,
guarded by this. I would hate that.
When I was brainstorming my green flags and red flags for this, the number one red flag I have is too complimentary because it is our first date. You do not know me. Like you can say, "Oh, you look really nice." That's great. I'd love to hear that. That lets me know that you're into me. But if you can't stop talking about either the way that I look or like kind of what you were saying, Brennan, like making a big production of going on the date. Like we don't know each other. I'm weird. I'm annoying. We might not be compatible. Like don't act like you like me before we even know each other. That to me is like an immediate turn off.
Going off of that, I think a red flag is if they're a little, I don't know if insecure is the right name for it.
When they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you went out with me."
Yeah, like if they're like a little, like kind of like
Well,
that.
with
Intimidated as well.
Yes.
Like if they're like, 'cause I went on a date with a guy before and he was clearly intimidated. He even said that to me, and I'm like, why would you admit that? Like, because like now I'm just gonna talk your fucking ear off. But I'm also like you say, like it's no, I'm not intimidated. It may seem like that, but I just yap all the time. I'm not.
I think to an average Joe, you could be a little intimidating.
I guess. All right.
I think it's
But
full
guys are
power
supposed
move.
to fake that.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to pretend you're not intimidated.
Yeah, but I think like saying it verbally and then like saying the "oh, woe is me" like type of thing. Like, okay, what do you want me to say to that? Like, but I feel like just don't like show it. I guess I don't know, or don't go out with somebody you feel intimidated by.
What about like etiquette for like after the first date? Like
No,
Slap my ass and get me in the car.
the worst thing you can say to someone if you are you can only say this to a first date if you know 150% on your mother that the person is into you. When you ask somebody, do you want to come back to my house? Be certain that they want to come back to your house. It's like when you ask somebody, will you marry me? You've already picked out the ring ahead of time. You know Shorty's going to say yes. If you are not 150% that she wants to come or he wants to come back with you, don't ask. It is so, I think that's the creepiest thing. Like, no, I don't want to go to your lair.
Because
like,
then if you like were into him, but you just didn't want to hook up with someone because you're not in the mood and or you just didn't want to hook up with someone on the first date, then now you're like, well, damn, now I don't like you because you asked me that. Like, it's so much better to just like either wait for the girl to make the move, I guess, or like you said, or be 100% sure, or just wait till date number 2. If you're that excited to hook up with me, take me out again.
I was gonna
like,
say there's too many crime documentaries out that me and these girls are watching that like there's a chance that we might not want to go back with you on the first date because we're already telling our friends to watch our locations.
I wasn't even factoring in safety. Like, my parents would be appalled at me. The fact that someone could kill you.
I date so ass backwards, and I've always been like this, but like and this is boy privilege too, like you guys said, like it's so scary being a girl, but I hook up with people, and then if the hookup goes well and I feel like we're vibing, then I'll see if I actually want to take the time to go out on a date with you. And that has been the ass backwards process that has worked for me time and time again, usually.
That's not ass backwards.
yeah.
It's just like, for me, like there's something about like like I feel like there is this like intimacy like era where like you're kind of curious where the night's gonna go, or like it becomes this whole big thing like how many dates is too many and when should you do it. And it's like, for me, my rule is like there is no rules. And sometimes I would rather get to the dinner table with you. I've already had sex with you, and that way we're just genuinely getting to talk to each other. If we end up having sex again, whatever, already done it before. And if we don't, then whatever, it's not gonna happen again. I don't know.
I like that. And I feel like I've honestly done the same thing. And I feel like the dates kind of go a little bit smoother, like 80% of the time. Like they're a little bit more free flowing. You've already seen me naked.
I hooked up with Jake before our first date.
Yeah.
Like we met the first night we met, then I was drunk and asked him to come out with me like that Saturday. And then we went on our technically first date like the next following week. And it did go smoother. I was so much more relaxed and now we're still together. So
yeah, that just like, it makes me like more comfortable because I like feel like I already know this person. I've already probably slept in a bed with them. Like I am down. It just makes it more casual. Whereas like if it's not like I wouldn't go on a first date with someone that I haven't slept with before. I will, but it's just, I get a lot more nervous, and I feel like there's just like a lot more like, I don't know, uncomfortability around it.
Sometimes it's easier to get naked than go talk to someone on the first date. Like,
so
sad.
true.
It's so true.
Sometimes it's easier. It's okay.
It's because it's like, yeah, they're just, I don't know, sitting across from someone, there's just like the added pressure of it being a first date. Like there is just like naturally pressure you feel with that. Whereas like, I don't know, if you hook up, it's just different. So
there's just something so beautiful, and I hope I experience again, about like you've already hooked up with someone and then they like turn to you before they leave and they're like, do you want to get drinks this week or do you want to get dinner this week? And I'm like, wow, you like actually want to get to know me beyond what we just did. Like the bar's in hell. The bar's in fucking hell.
Yeah, me too.
But I love that shit. I love that shit.
okay, now that we've talked about our red flags on dates, do we have any do's and don'ts of just dating in general? It can be first date related. It can be a few dates in.
Just don't date.
I would say when you are dating, like, you want to be with someone that makes you feel like you can relax, like, for sure. Like, anytime, like, you know, you feel antsy or anxious, like, if that's going on for an extended period of time, like every time you're with them, or, you know, you just feel like you can't get comfortable with them, that is like the immediate indicator to me that that is not your person. Like, your person will kind of really like find a way to like calm you down, even if something like hectic or unexpected happens on like one of your first few dates. Like, they'll find a way to like save the day and like make you feel like, oh wait, like that was okay. Like, normally that would have really freaked me out, but like you like handled that really well. Like, I like am smiling thinking about that. Like, that's such a green, like, good flag. Like, I always say, like, love is peaceful and like it's calming, you know. I miss that part.
No, I feel like that kind of goes off with one of my do's is like, I think you should like challenge yourself a little bit in dating. If you're the type, like, I hate eating in front of people. Like, I would rather never eat in front of someone, especially if I'm dating them. Like, that just gives me anxiety. But I think me and Jake, my boyfriend, went on our like first dinner date, like maybe our third date. And that was so uncharacteristic of me because usually I would keep pushing that off. But I remember being like, I'm going to challenge myself to like go get dinner with this person. And it just puts you in a different mindset because like you're dating, it's just as much for the other person as it is for you, like to figure out if you like them, if you like yourself, if you want this, if you don't. So like, I don't know, challenge yourself, go on a date with someone maybe you wouldn't necessarily like think of in the first place, or go somewhere you wouldn't think of. It doesn't always have to be the first date, but maybe if you've been on a few dates with a person and then they are like, hey, do you want to go, I don't know, do Top Golf, and you've never done that before in your life, but you're like, you know what, maybe I'll just try it. And I feel like it'll tell you a lot about the person you're on a date with. If they make you feel peaceful in a situation where you might be a little bit uncomfortable, that's like a good, like you said, that's like a good indicator to be like, oh, wait, I'm really comfortable doing something so out of my comfort zone.
I have a do. Wait, first off, if any man is listening, I want to go on a date to Top Golf. I'm really good at golfing. I think it'd be so fun. But one of my do's is if you're having a troubling time, or if you're single and like you're like realizing like, oh, these no guys are talking to me or whatever, just take a step back and think about where you're looking for the guys. Like, if you're at Barstool, like, I came to this realization, I kind of stopped it because I was going out every weekend to Barstool and like being like, oh my God, I'm not finding guys. But take a step back and think about it. Do I want to find my soulmate at Barstool, or like now I'm kind of like in a mood where I'm like, I'm at the gym. I'd rather find someone at the gym because that's my exact lifestyle. Like, yes, I could find, you can find guys at the bars, don't get me wrong. But just like take a step back. Like, if you're looking for someone at the bars, is that who you want to be with? Or like maybe go to a library or a coffee shop, or like, just think about that, maybe.
Yeah, stop putting so much pressure on like, oh, I'm going out tonight, I have to meet someone. It's like, you're most likely not going to meet your person at a bar or a club. You could, but most likely not going to.
That's a really, really good point. I would say another don't is like someone, I'm trying to like we kind of talked about it, but like it's very like insecure and kind of like, this is my biggest like red flag is like someone who talks down to you and is like, oh yeah, and like has like a know-it-all sense of humor and like really feels like overinflated ego, false sense of importance. I will always like, that is genuinely like one of the easiest ways to get me, who's an easy person, to not sleep with you. Like, and just like going on dates with people, and like sometimes I will say this, like the first date can have you fooled. Like, you have to have your blinders on for the second date, because have you guys ever had a really good first date and then the second date was like, like, you can be surprised, like people can fucking act on that first date, and then you get on the second date and you're so excited and you're like, who the hell is this? Like, they get comfortable quick, and then you see a whole nasty side to them.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. I feel like I've always had so much trouble figuring out how to word this, and I might have talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but something I think I did different in this relationship that I'm in now that I'd never done before is I, like, in the beginning, I didn't lie about fundamental things. And what I mean by that is like, in the beginning of a relationship, you are setting the tone for a relationship. So if there is something that is super important to you, don't lie about it to try to be the cool girl or to try to be the chill girlfriend. Because when you do decide, hey, I actually, that does bother me, and you're 3 months down the road, now you guys are like, you just wasted time with that person and that person wasted time with you. I feel like in this relationship, I was very upfront in the beginning. I was like, I don't like need you, I like want you, so these are the things that are important to me. Like, I remember we were very, very early on into our relationship, and I was like, hey, I don't really like insecure guys, and one day me and my friends are going to start a podcast and I'm going to talk about things on that podcast. Are you okay with that? And I literally remember Jake was like, we've been dating for like a month. Like, I don't know, like that seems so far away. But to me, that was like, I'm setting the tone for the relationship. This is something that's super important to me. It's going to be important to me in a year. So if we want to continue doing this, and I feel like a lot of times as girls, we try to be the cool girl and we try to not be bothered by things and not get jealous. Be honest with yourself and that person, because it's setting the tone for all of your future dates and arguments and conversations. So like, don't lie about fundamental things.
Yeah, and that shit's hard. I mean, I feel like that's where I struggle the most with my job, is like being a content creator. And like, I think that was one of the like problems in my past relationships. It's like people think that they're signing up for something that they think they fully understand, and then you get into it, and sometimes, you know, you do realize, wait, like, I don't know if I can handle this. And it's really hard. But to your point, like, you have to be upfront about it. Like, any person that I'm going to date, like, has to know, like, hey, I might not post you on the internet, but I might talk about an experience on our podcast or on the internet. And that's not for everybody at all. So it's like, get that out in the open with right away before you like waste someone's time, especially as we're getting older. Like, you know, people are on biological clocks. Like, I was just watching Sex and the City last night, and like, Carrie was on a date with this guy, and she was like, he doesn't want kids, and I don't know if I don't want kids, but like, I don't want to, like, he's for certain. So like, even though we've only been dating 2 months, like those are legitimate conversations that like, I feel like sometimes have to be had.
Yeah. Like, if you don't drink or you don't like drinking and the person you're on a date with loves to drink and go out, like, don't try to just be like, oh, well, I'll see how it goes. Be like, hey, just so you know, I'm not a drinker. Like, that stuff just, it saves you both a lot of time.
Crazy, like,
and it's so fucking easy as girls too, especially because like, the reason I've always had trouble with that advice is because like, obviously on a first date, you don't want to be like, hey, this is everything you need to know about me, because like, obviously that's a little overwhelming. So I don't know if there's like a perfect timeline for it, but I feel like as girls, we're so used to just being like
a little while, like, I don't, like, it's fine. Like, just to like try to please someone. Like, don't try to please someone just to look cool.
Go out with your friends. It's not a big deal that you bailed on our date. It's like, hey, no, actually, that's a huge deal. You bailed. Like,
exactly,
you need to know that.
Keep doing it, like you said.
They're gonna keep doing it. It's never. It will never stop. If that might be the, like, I've said this multiple times. It may be your best take yet, Casey. Like, be upfront when the time is right. Obviously, like you said, you don't want to go into a first date being like, these are my yeses, these are my nos. But like, if you're like 6 or 7 dates down the line and you're starting to like really be into this person, you're hanging out all the time, like, you might want to let them know the things that bother you, because you'll be screwed. You'll be miserable, and you will never get that time back.
Another don't of mine is, I said don't get hung up on dating apps. I think just don't do dating apps. Like, you can, I mean, the Hinge or which one it's meant to be deleted. Girl, I've had that app for 4 years now. Like, that shit is on my phone. It's possible I've met people who have met on the Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, but at the same time, it's very hookup based. Like, and it's also, if you're like me or like anyone, like a genuine connection, like sometimes it cannot be started over meeting someone in their profile, but it also can. Like, I have met guys in person from it, but don't get, like, if you just get out of a relationship or like you're looking for someone, don't just get on this app thinking it's going to happen immediately, because there's nasty men out there. Like, they're all just looking for sex. Someone asked me ASL, like sex location,
that is
in the year of
crazy.
2024. So that said to me, let me get off this
Does
app.
your profile not say it all?
No,
Right?
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why are we doing this? I'm like, ew, is this AIM?
Go ahead.
I think that Hinge is, I think it caters to a special type of man, a few different types of guys. Like, for example, my brother met his girlfriend on Hinge.
Oh, yeah.
He did. But I think that there are some guys who are super serial daters who Hinge is a breeding ground for their ridiculousness. Like guys who will say, oh, I'm going on a date with this girl tomorrow, this girl Saturday, this girl Sunday. Like we're just going to pack the weekend full. I'm going to hook up with her, and her, and then I'll take her out on a second date, but not her. It's what do you
I
gain
didn't
from
think
that?
about those men.
I feel like Hinge's immaturity, it feeds into such immature mindset sometimes. And like
I feel like especially in the city, like I feel like Bailey either has said this on this podcast or says it all the time. If you are talking to a man on Hinge in Philadelphia, he's also talking to all of your friends and 6 other girls. Like maybe Hinge in a little small quaint hometown is a lot different than Philadelphia because I feel like when I was single, I remember like showing my friends a guy and they were like, oh, I matched with him too.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I was
got
also just thinking of that because there's a Facebook group, Are We Dating the Same Guy? And a lot of it's on like, hey everyone, I just met this guy on Hinge, and all the comments like, no, like it's horrible. And I'm like, girls, like this is bad.
It's so bad.
I was gonna mention the other dating app. You guys told me not to say anything via email, so I forgot what it's fucking called. The one that made me pay $25 a month. I can't even say the name.
It's so sad. I feel like like as a gay man, obviously do different dating apps. The ones I found the most success with, honestly, is Tinder. I
Really?
always find some good ones on
Let
Tinder.
me get back on there.
I like Tinder. Never found success on Hinge. I found weirdos on fucking Hinge.
Yeah.
But I haven't been on Hinge in, oh my God, like maybe like 3 years. So maybe I got to give it the good old college try again. I don't
can't
know.
download those things.
I know.
I
It's
can't
just
do it,
like,
bro.
I don't even like mean to sound like conceited, but like the last time I was on them, like people be like, oh my God, brand flakes.
Oh,
And I
fuck
was just
that.
like, I don't need people screenshotting my shit and like doing all that. Like I would rather meet in person. I just can't. I can't be doing
How
all
do you
that.
feel about people, because it's happened, people like using you, I guess, on their dating apps?
Oh, yes. So sometimes, and this is very smart of a straight man, sometimes a straight man will take a picture with me at the bar and a girl will send me a screenshot that he's using it on his Hinge, which is very clickbaity because the girl will be like, oh my God, wait, are you friends with him? Our friend did it for a while. I think it's funny. I mean, like, you know, it is what it is. Fuck boy probably, but like, you know, I'm a
to find
Leo.
one.
No, I
so-
love it.
I would love to find one and just like catch me alive. Like if he like didn't know, like I was like knew you, but like, oh, so how do you know him? Like it's like, oh, we're best friends. What's his middle name?
I feel like I would rather see you than him holding a fish. So,
That's
or like
fun.
standing in a group of 6 other men and I'm like, damn, which one is he? And he's never the one you want him to be. So like, honestly, if it's you, that's a step up.
Yeah, late at night sometimes if I'm bored and I run out of all the apps, I'm like, let me get on here and just, I'm like, there's some fine looking men. But then I forget to check the app for 3 more weeks. So I'm like, all right, never mind.
How do you guys feel about a man that cooks for you? And when is that too soon?
15 out of 10. I'll take 14 of them. Give it to me right now.
Spectacular.
But would that be too aggressive as like a first date if he was like, what could I cook for you?
Oh no, that's beautiful.
No, full you, Bailey. Like,
Would you like be like go to his house?
if a man texted me and was like, hey, or like contacted me and was like, oh, I want you to come over, like I'm gonna make dinner. First off, if you are bold enough to make dinner, excuse me, if you're bold enough to make dinner on a first date, I know you got the skills.
Yeah.
Like that's Remy the rat is under your chef's hat. Like I know that you are cooking up a meal. That's number one. It shows you have confidence. You don't mind me coming to your home, which means I know it's clean in there. Like I just it
Hopefully.
sets
You know,
all,
it's like
hopefully.
sanitary wipes.
Hopefully. In my girly brain, I would think cooking for a girl at my home means it's clean. I'm proud of something. I have a craft. I want to share this. I want to
They were
impress
raised
you.
right.
Yeah, like it's kind of like, oh, I don't know.
I agree.
I'm going to your
Yeah.
house. I'm
Another
pulling up.
green flag, real quick. If you can tell they were raised right, like
Oh
they
my
have
God,
those
yes.
like morals and values, and, like know how to treat a woman right because they grew up with sisters and like have a great mother and like great parental background. Sorry to take away. That's like
No,
I
agree.
know it's not possible, but I just wish every girl could only date men with sisters because it really just does make the biggest difference. And I feel like guys who grew up with sisters are so much nicer and
oil my
emotionally
hair.
intelligent.
Sit in between their legs and do a full oil treatment. They give you a
Exactly.
full set of cornrows.
I think beyond dating, like once you're in a relationship, like something I've learned because I've been in a relationship with a really great person and I've been in a relationship with a really bad person. And a really great person will adore the things that you're insecure about. Like the things that bother you about yourself, your partner that is good for you will like actually love them. He'll be like, it could be physical, it could be like personality wise. Like he could be like, I love that you actually do that. And you're like, what? I hate that about myself. But the opposite for someone who is bad for you, they will literally dull your sparkle. Like if someone was to date Bailey and like they were like, they didn't laugh at her jokes and they didn't laugh at her humor and like they made her feel stupid for joking about things in public, like I would literally be so heartbroken because Bailey is like one of the funniest people in the world. So it's like, but that's hard to recognize because like when you're, especially if you date a narcissist, which I have done before, they will like convince you that the parts that you think you like about yourself like are actually stupid. And it's really, that's like a really, really hard manipulative like thing to get out of. And it's dark, but like it's true. And I think that that's like when it comes to love, like your person will adore you and adore everything about you, even the parts of you that you don't like. And if you're with someone that is making you feel shitty about things that you didn't once feel shitty about, they're not a good match for you.
I said to Brandon the other day, and I'm a big Jesus girl, but like there's this one thing that I keep coming back to in my Bible, and it's literally the love scripture. And it's, even if you're not a Christian, you don't believe in God, like you're gonna believe in this. It's that love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't brag, it doesn't boast, it's not prideful. Like it's, when you think about all those things and like the person that you pick, it's like Brandon said, love should be peaceful, it should be easy. Like if your person is dulling your sparkle or like removing a little piece of your shine, it's so important to remember like that's not what love is supposed to be.
Love is real. I know I've talked about this book before. It's called Love is Real by Brian L. Weiss. It's about like finding your soulmate, and everyone has a soulmate out there, and it's just like beautiful how like love is real. It's a real thing. Like everything is love on this planet. Sorry, I'm going on a whole tangent, but that's like reminded me of that.
Yeah.
No, I get like, before I ever met my boyfriend, I was like the biggest, like I'm going to end up alone. I'm never going to find someone. And I was honestly okay with it. I was like, I don't want a man. I don't need one. And then finding who I believe is my soulmate, like it does change like the way you look at the world. Like now I'm like, oh my God, you feel like lighter and more at peace. And it just like, I don't know. I feel like before, not that I disagree with old me, because I saw a lot of shitty guys. I was in a shitty relationship. So I think I was validated in thinking I'll never find someone. But now that I have, anytime I hear someone be like, oh, I'm never going to find someone, I like want to be like, hey, I was exactly like that. And now I'm on the other side and I cannot imagine my life without Jake. So like, I am right there with you for every girl who's listening and they're like, oh, fuck guys, I'm never going to find someone. Like,
and going off
you will.
Of that, it's also like, I see so many comments on like our TikToks or YouTubes, and I talk to a lot of women who are older than me, and they like 30, 35, like it's never too late.
Yeah.
Do not worry. 'Cause I'm 28 now, and that's always in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, like I need to like my biological clock is ticking. But like, there's people who are 35 and they don't find their true love, and it's like years of dating in your 20s, you will find someone.
Yeah.
And it's always like, even it's like you guys are my soulmates, low key. But like, it's just like when you think about like our friends' soulmates, like you always find people or someone, and like our time will come.
It will make sense. When it happens,
Yeah.
it will make sense to you. Even if it didn't at first, you'll be like, oh, that's why this took so long, or that's why I met you when I'm in this phase of my life. Like it'll happen the way it's supposed to.
I made this TikTok last night, but one of my favorite phrases is sometimes the second chance is for you, not for them. And it's just like beautiful. Like, you know, sometimes when something ends, you know, you want to give that person or that relationship, that friendship even, another chance so badly, but the universe is ending that for a reason because it's giving you a second chance at something else. And viewing things like that, even in like my darkest times, I'm thinking about it right now with everything I have going on in my personal life. I'm like, this has to be something else that is like redirecting me to something bigger. I have to believe that.
Yeah, I'm literally sitting here like I'm watching a movie.
I literally was like in my own world when you were like saying all that. That's so beautiful. I feel like I'm on a trip.
Let's get to the questions from the girlies. We have
yeah.
two good ones, right?
Yes. So
Someone wrote in. Someone
That
wrote,
was giving the Zoom.
we kind of just answered this, but someone wrote in like, how to know when you're in love. I'm 19 and feel so behind. Oh, baby girl.
You are an
19.
infant.
19 and you feel behind. That like makes me sad that there is, I don't know why you feel behind, but like you should not. I just got out of my first relationship, like real relationship. I was 26 when that started. Like, baby girl, you are ahead of the curve. You are not behind. Take your time.
And especially, you know, if you are from a hometown where everyone is getting married really early, because that is a thing. If you're from a certain area where it's like, oh, everyone is already married, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of those people get divorced at a very early age. Like when people get married at 19, 20, and 21, they also get divorced very early.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in the last episode how I was like, I always want to look back on my 20s and have fun, is because I had so many older women in my life tell me I got married too young and I wasted my 20s on someone I didn't care about. And like that always stuck with me because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to turn 40 and think about all the wasted time with someone that I didn't want to be with. So if you feel behind because people around you are getting married, if it works out for them, great. But chances are it's probably not going to work out for
Frontal
them.
lobe hasn't even developed.
Right?
Yeah, give yourself some time, I think.
And 19, I feel like you're so close to coming out of, like, you literally just came out of high school. You're what, in freshman or sophomore of college?
Yeah.
Your boyfriend in high school, I had my first boyfriend at 15. I don't even consider him a boyfriend. Like, that's my homie now. Like, I'm 28 and like, that's my friend. It's like, those people you look at, even if it's like a relationship thing, they will break up.
Yeah.
The likelihood of them staying together is slim.
So we have another little question from a viewer. This is a long one, but hi, girlies. I commented on your last post about my guy friend and I having feelings for each other, but being too scared to say anything, and there is a lot more to the story. We met in our professional school program, and when we met, he was married. My friends and I joked he was a perfect guy, but I did not have feelings for him. He ended up getting a divorce, and post-divorce, we started spending a lot of time together. I started to think there was something more between us. Multiple friends at school came up to me and asked if there was something going on between us or commented on our chemistry. I didn't say anything before leaving for summer break, but I ended up finding out he did have feelings for me, not for him. I don't know if I should say anything, what to say, or wait for him to say something. There was so much more to the story, but it's just cutting me off.
I would say something. I would 100%. I would reach out and just be like, hey, I feel like there was a lot of sparks and things that I wasn't sure if I was misreading, but I've heard through the grapevine that potentially you were feeling them too. Like, I think we would be silly to not explore this further.
Wow, that's like kind of camp.
Like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
everyone is so terrified of rejection, and I totally understand that. But, like, girl, it sounds like you've got it in the bag. Like, it sounds like you've heard that he's not going to reject you. And I understand, like, being intimidated, but, like, baby girl, if he's got feelings for you and you've been feeling him, like, time is of the essence.
You don't
Let's
wanna
go.
waste these 3 summer months on break thinking about what could have been when you could be
Right.
what is now.
Yep.
Type of thing.
I also feel like society-wise, I feel like girls are sometimes scared to make the first move. One, because of rejection, and two, because it is romantic. You grow up watching these Disney princess movies where the guy makes the first move and he does everything. So you do kind of want that fairy tale of the guy doing everything, but don't be afraid to like make the first move. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Before, when I was dating, I made the first move with several guys. Like, who cares? If it's a good guy, he'll make up for it. If you tell people a few years down the road, oh yeah, I was the one that made the first move, if he was the one for you, he'll do something to make up for that. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So like, don't let that be your reason for not saying something,
Yeah.
because I do think there is a lot of people who are like, well, I want him to do it.
Right.
You do it first.
And maybe he's a little afraid because he hasn't been in a dating pool because he was married and just got divorced. So maybe he's a little like scared to be the first one to say something to you, but also take that, like, he's not saying something for a reason, but I think in your text message or whatever, say like, hey, I know you're probably going through like you're not opening up right now, but I am here type of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And emotional men exist. Like, I know for some people that gives people the ick. They want like a man who knows exactly what he wants and isn't afraid to go get it. But like, for some people, like, there is, you know, kind of like a shy, like, there's people that like that kind of shyness and more vulnerability and, you know, need some warming up to. And I mean, we love a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to go for it. So
I have one last piece of advice, and I don't want to forget to say this because I've been told this so many times. I should probably listen to it. If you're dating someone right now in like your 20s or whatever, and you're not getting married yet, and things are just really not working out, and you're trying so hard, just think about this. Things shouldn't be that hard right now if there's no kids, money, or marriage involved. Like, if you're having a lot of turmoil, like fights and all of that, like things with your friends, like in your relationship with your significant other, think about it. If it's this hard right now, it's just going to get even harder. And there's not kids, there's not marriage, there's not joint bank accounts involved. Just think about that.
Yeah, something the governor talked about in our episode that we did with him that stuck with me because I've always thought that about my own relationship. I forget what we asked him, maybe like something about his relationship, but he was talking about his foundation with his wife and how that's so crucial to him because it is truly the start of everything. Like now living with my boyfriend, taking that next serious step, you do have to have a foundation for communication, for arguments, for the basic adult things. How do we pay the bills? How do we buy groceries? How do we deal with this? We don't even have kids yet. We're still at the bare minimum of foundation, and we already needed that. Right. So like that is such a good point, Bailey. Like you really truly do need, if it is too difficult now, it's only going to get worse when something tragic happens in your life or family or your job, whatever it is. It's only going to get harder. So you want to make sure that in the beginning is like the best.
Yeah.
Well, we hope this episode helped you guys.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm single, so don't feel alone. If any gays are listening to this, hey. And don't keep everything between us,
Yeah,
girlies.
share
Share
this
this
one.
one. Share this one with your girlies. Bye, guys.
Bye.